But we got our first guest of the evening in the green room right now. Let's go ahead and bring him in. He is, I mean, you all know who he is. He's Chad Mendes. He is going to be making his debut in the BKFC soon, and we can't wait to talk to him. Here he is right here.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
What's happening,
Welcome,
Chad?
welcome.
Thank you for coming on our show. This is Mission Accomplished. This is the spot where combat sports meets combat vets, and it happens to be our 1-year anniversary. We started it last year on Veterans Day. Never thought we'd make it a year, but here the fuck we are, man.
That's awesome, man. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it, man. Like, you are the man. You are Chad Mendes, and you are making your way into the bare knuckle world. Let's talk a little bit about this. You had a really nice run in the UFC. I think you still have some fights left in the UFC contract, but what was it that drew you away from mixed martial arts and decided to take the gloves off and throw down with the bare hands?
Not enough money. Bottom line, honestly. I mean, my last fight was, when I signed that contract, it was, back in 2015. And at that time, it was a good deal, but I don't know. We signed an 8-fight deal, which was the stupidest thing I could have ever done in my career. When you're at the top of the list there, you're fighting usually about one time a year, mainly because there's not a ton of people that make sense for you to fight.
Right.
So that takes a long time to eat up that contract. And put things into perspective, my last fight was 82-82. And I lost that fight. Obviously, it was Alex Volkanovski, but 10% to managers, 10% to trainers, taxes, you're walking away with, I only get 82 because I lost the fight. So, after all that being taxed, you're walking away with, 30, 40 grand. Thankfully, I got fight of the night, so I got a bit of a bonus. So that helped big time. But, if I wouldn't have, it just slaps you in the face. And you're like, dude, what the hell am I doing this for? Like, I could make 3 times that amount doing something in the outdoor industry, which I absolutely love, and not have to get punched in the face. So I ended up deciding with my team and my family that it was time. And so we hung them up, and I started a couple other businesses. I started Fins and Feathers, which actually I started that back in 2015, but at that time it was just really starting to take off. So we ended up deciding, let's go full bore with that. I started the Provider Life with my good buddy Chad Belding, which we just launched a brand new cookbook 2 days ago. It's like a wild game cookbook, has a lot of different cool recipes of mine, of his, and a bunch of our friends that we know in the industry, along with 10 different rubs, like seasoning rubs that go with it. And then we also started a beef company. So I'm doing American almond beef. So I got a bunch of stuff going on that has been eating up my time nonstop. But man, over the last couple of years, it's been almost 2 years now, maybe a year and a half. But Bare Knuckle has been really trying to get a hold of me and my team. And I mean, at the time, in the beginning, the money that they were throwing out, it wasn't worth it. It didn't really interest me too much. But and so I just kept doing what I was doing and just focusing on all my businesses. Well, over time, and as they started getting more investors, that money started getting a little bit bigger and bigger until it finally caught my attention. Yeah. I'm like, I'll get in there and fight 2-minute rounds and make some big money, and then get back to what I love to do outside of competing. So, it's only a 3-fight deal with them, and ultimately, I'm still under UFC contract. So the UFC is basically being really cool about this and allowing me to go compete. They could have just said screw you, but I don't know. We'll see if I fight these 3 fights and the UFC is like, look, let's talk, maybe we can adjust this contract. I'd probably be open to it, but if it stays where it's at now, I just have zero interest, man.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is about what you said earlier about not fighting frequent enough to get your contract out the way. Mm-hmm. As much people might think that bare knuckle is this brutal sport that you're going to be one and done, or it's going to take a long time. You look at guys like Lorenzo Hunt and Britton Hart, they're fighting 4 or 5 times a year. You know what I mean? You only get bumps and bruises and a couple cuts here and there, and as long as you don't break a bone in your hand, you're good to go 2 months down the road.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my biggest concern, is just breaking hands. I think the cuts heal quick. You got a few weeks of that. anything in your face should heal up pretty quick. But yeah, breaking your hands. I've broken my hand once on Connor's face, and then a fight right before I got into the UFC. Well, it would have been the WC back then, but I got a plate with 8 screws in it. That took, quite a bit of time to recover from, and that sucks because you can't really do any type of, striking training at all. So yeah, hopefully that's the only thing that doesn't happen. Other than that, I'd be down to pump them out. Like I said, it's only
Right.
3 fights, but
Now, when you were talking about the money thing, when the Reebok deal came in, is that when the money did you really take a hit there, not being able to pull as many sponsors as you would before?
of course, yeah. I mean, the sponsorship, the logos on the shorts and the banners, that was huge. Obviously a big pay cut there, but I look at it almost like a blessing, because what it did is force me to really focus on my social media and grow that, knowing that if I can't have sponsors or any of their shit on my shorts, I got to figure out another way to monetize that avenue of it. And so I focused a lot on my social media, really grew that, and then basically switched everything over to, salary with all the companies I work with and just doing stuff through social media. So, I probably wouldn't have even thought about that till later in my career, or if the Reebok deal wouldn't have come through. So I don't know, it definitely sucked, but I try to look at it like it was a positive.
Nice. So you're going to be fighting 155, correct?
155s, yeah.
And at the last event in New York, they mentioned that you're going to be fighting in Knucklemania 2 in February. Have they thrown any names your way? Is there anybody that you see that you're like, that's the person that I would like to make my debut against?
Dude, nothing yet. We actually were just talking with Feldman yesterday on the phone, and still don't have anything in concrete form. I mean, I haven't signed any bout agreements. I don't even know if I'm for sure on that card, but I have a baby coming in 2 weeks. Baby number 2.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. I'm kind of playing it by ear, honestly. At this point, I'm looking at all this fighting as just a bonus, man. I have my businesses that are doing well. It's not like I have to step in there, and it's like a do or die type situation. Like the fight, I'm excited to get back in there and compete, and the money's just a bonus. So I got to take care of my family first. I'm going to go through baby number 2. We have a 2.5-year-old daughter right now. So shit might be absolutely insane over the next month or two. So
yes, it is.
Best to stay in training camp and everything, but I can't. I'm not one of those guys, especially this early after where I'm going to leave for 8 weeks and just train. So if things just aren't working out, it might get postponed. I don't know, but tentatively, I'm pushing for February sometime. That's ideally what I'd like to do, but I mean, if it's not right, I'm not going to force it. So we'll see.
Right. And Mike was asking about opponents. There is a 155-pound title fight tomorrow night. A lot of fighters in BKFC will bitch about somebody coming in, off the street and getting a title fight. But you were a constant contender for a title in the UFC, the biggest organization in the world. The only losses you ever had were against the best of the best: Aldo, Connor, Edgar, Volkanovski. So it's like you absolutely have the name and the reputation to step in. So I wouldn't doubt them throwing the winner of tomorrow night's fight against you at Knucklmania 2. I don't know if you.
Yeah, and I if it was up to me, I wouldn't mind that, but I'd also know the deal, and I'd be fucking pissed if somebody did that to me. So, I got respect for these guys. I got respect for all martial artists, man. I mean, you see a lot of these guys getting up there and talking so much shit and just acting a complete fool. I hate seeing it, especially in something like bare knuckle where, we got to earn the respect of the fans here. Like, this is already looked at like it's such a brutal sport, just like the UFC was when it first came in. And, you got a lot of these guys that are getting up there and pushing each other and slamming belts and doing all that bullshit. It's like, come on, guys, like, have some respect for yourselves, for the people that you're about to step in the cage. We're all martial artists. Like, show some respect. We're all going through the same shit. I get trying to sell a fight, but let's not do some insane shit like punch people in the face when you're not in the octagon or the ring, And so I don't know. There's just a lot of that stuff going on, and it's really kind of putting a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth with this sport. So I'm, I hope a lot of people can hear this damn interview and, you know, step back and be like, look, he's right. Like, let's have some fucking respect here and treat this like it's a sport. We're not, you know, you're not doing anything but hurting the sport by doing all this stupid shit. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I would, like I said, be pissed if somebody just stepped right up out of. I'm not saying I'm coming off the streets. I have a name. I have the following. Right. I have the reputation, but I wouldn't mind getting there and fighting 1 or 2 times to really earn that spot and just show people that I belong there. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just kind of let that fight play out. Talk to Feldman and just see what they're thinking. But yeah, we'll kind of go from there. Get
a bit warmed up in there.
Yeah, I mean, I've never boxed before. First of all, I've never competed in a boxing match. Obviously, I've fought in the UFC for as long as I have and trained boxing for, 10 years. But it's a whole different world. I have guys that train wrestling. I grew up wrestling my whole life, and they train wrestling in the gym. And then when they get in there and do their first competition, it's completely different. So I get it. I want to see what this thing's all about. I want to see how this organization is ran. I want to see how, things are performed in the back. I want to just see how everything unfolds first. So if that means getting in there and just getting a fight to get my feet wet and just see how everything's going, I'm completely fine with that. But I think ultimately, getting in there and fight for that belt would be pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, wrestlers tend to do very well in this sport as well. Like wrestlers' grip strength and cardio. This is a very fast-paced sport. You get to the line. Most of the fighters that made their debut, and then we talked to them afterwards. Like, what's the thing that most surprised you is like how fast it starts, and it doesn't stop for the entire 2 minutes that you're in there. You know what I mean? And I can tell you right now that, like, right in the comments right now, we have some fighters that are in here saying, I can't wait to scrap with you one day. Come beat me if you can. Tony Soto's in there. Andrew Toppin. John Lee Chalbeck was on the show last night saying, I would like to fight Chad Mendes. So you definitely, your name draws a target for sure. I mean, you can take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I think it's cool, man. I think one thing, I've talked to the bare knuckle crew, and there's a handful of guys calling me out, but they're saying a lot of these guys are requesting like insane amounts of money to get in there and fight. And they're like, we can't pay these guys that. So that's kind of the double-edged sword there that we're kind of facing with finding an opponent, I think. So if you guys are listening, don't ask for so much, and we'll get in there and I'll beat your ass for sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, why would they ask for so much money? Like, if I was them, I'd be like, I'll fight, and I'm confident that I could beat you. I would say I'll fight him for free just to get that name recognition on my record, and then everybody could be like, holy shit, that's the fucking dude that just beat Chad Mendes in a bare knuckle fight.
Yeah.
You'll get the money afterwards, guys.
Yeah, look at it as an investment. Let's go.
Jesus Christ. Speaking about investment, you talked about being an entrepreneur outside of the ring, starting Fins and Feathers. And were you always like an entrepreneurial type of guy, or did somebody help you along the way? Maybe Uriah. I know Uriah is a real business type guy, right?
Yeah, he's probably the biggest inspiration as far as doing anything business-wise. Man, growing up, my dad owned his own business and ran a cabinet business, but outside of that, I never even thought twice about it. Going up through college, my degree was kinesiology. Figured I'd do something like sports medicine related after college, but ended up figuring out, meeting Faber when I was in high school, but really starting to train with him a lot more through the beginning years of my college career, and decided I'm going to try fighting after and just give it a shot, and ended up being good at it. So I stuck it out for a long time. And but yeah, man, I never really thought about anything business-wise until I'd say towards the end of my career. And, I guess my thought process was I'm not going to fight forever. I can't fight forever. And if you're not fighting, you're not getting paid. It's not like we get a retirement or something set up through the UFC. It's like once you're done, the money stops. And so I was like, God, there's got to be something that I can do to create some type of income doing something I love. Like, I love hunting. I love fishing. I love being a provider and just like, feeding my friends and family with all the different wild games that I got to harvest myself, growing my own vegetables and stuff like that. So I'm like, what can I do to create a business that involves something like that? And so Fins and Feathers was the first jump, and that did really well. We did that for, 4 or 5 years. And then we started thinking about other things, and that's where the provider brand, me and Belding kind of came up with that. And then just last year, the American Almond Beef kind of came up with a group of my buddies. My biggest thing is, over the years of cooking all the wild game that I hunt, people are always asking like, hey, can I buy some of that? Which you can't legally sell wild game meat. So I'm like, God, there's such a market for this, especially with COVID and the whole meat shortage at that one point, and everybody was freaking out. And it's like, what could we do to create something that's almost as healthy and as good as venison, or you know what I mean? So, our thought was, let's create this healthy food source for these cattle. No hormones, no antibiotics, no corn, no soy. And we feed them this proprietary blend that we put together. It's mainly of almonds, and I'm an almond byproduct, but we finish them off on that the last 100, 150 days. And so now people can buy that, just go to our website and buy it and feel confident knowing, okay, there's no hormones, no antibiotics, none of that stuff that's pretty similar to wild game, but it's beef, and it's, I can buy it at any time, shows up on my doorstep frozen, and we're calling it good. So,
wow.
We created that, and just, like I said, we started that last year and just kind of been rolling with everything throughout the year. COVID with shipping is always a tough son of a bitch trying to figure out, but I went on Rogan's podcast and we talked about it, and it just blew things up for us. Thank God. So
it's awesome.
It's been nice, just fun doing these different type of businesses outside the octagon. And, it's been fun. It's different. There's a lot of stuff about the business side of it I've never learned. So I'm just kind of learning by trial and error, or, having business buddies that have done this their whole lives that are teaching me stuff. So it's that new thing that's exciting because it's new. Kind of the same thing with bare knuckle. It's that new thing that I've never competed in. So it's entertaining for me. It's exciting. You can be like a sponge and just really soak stuff up nonstop. So that's been fun.
We went to this. I used to deliver aircraft parts to facilities around the East Coast, and up in Albany, New York, there was this burger joint. It was like exotic. It was some weird. It was like Dave's Exotic Burgers or something like that. And we went in there, and they had like ostrich, python. They had like all this crazy shit, and the guy was like, "Yeah, we got shut down because we were serving. They were serving like tiger meat and like fucking lion." Yeah, we're like, "What?
How do you order that?"
They had zebra on. They're shut down again. I think they're done forever. But me and my buddy, I bought an ostrich burger, and he bought like a zebra burger, and we cut them in half and each tried one. Yeah. It didn't last. I guess that company didn't last long because they were selling.
No.
They didn't read any laws before they opened that up.
Guy had a line on some fucking tiger meat and just went after it, man.
Yeah, where do you even get tiger meat? That's the crazy part.
From the Tiger King, but then he got locked up.
That's right, man. So yeah, you being the outdoorsman, were you always an outdoorsman growing up as a kid, or is this something you got into as an adult?
No, man, my dad used to take me and my brothers and sisters out hunting and fishing and camping from when we were little kids, man. I used to follow my dad around in the woods up in Central California, chasing little tiny black-tailed deer our whole lives. And I've always loved it. And, there was a point where when I went to college with wrestling seasons and, school and everything, I put a lot of it off for those, 4 or 5 years. And then once I graduated, moved up to Sacramento, and when I had a lot more time in between fights and stuff, I just picked it all back up again and fell back in love with it all over. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I've never hunted before. I got to get out there. I have a buddy at work. He's in the military with us, and I swear to God, if he has any second free, he'll try to get out. Even if he can't make it out far enough to hunt, I feel like he still goes out. I'm like, how are you going to hunt? You got like 2 hours. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get out there. Believe me.
And then you got Travis from work who went on a boar hunt in like fucking Florida, but he chose like his weapon of choice was a blade.
Oh,
and like he went on this like boar hunt where he had to like tackle the boar and kill it with a fucking blade. And he got his arm all fucked up. The boar like ripped his arm apart. And I'm like, why the fuck would you want to do that? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, dude. There's guys that do that. That's how they do it in Hawaii. Like, I don't think they even use guns for them typically. They just run the dog trap them. You run up behind them, someone grabs the back legs, and then you just go knife it. That's not for me, man.
Not for you.
I'll stick to my bow or my gun. Like, I'm good.
Dude, that's how Robert Baratheon got killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones fan, but you don't fuck with boars.
Nope.
They'll gut
Yeah,
you.
I've seen some wicked damage. I've had one charge me before. I had my bow, and it was like 5 yards from me, and I put one right between its eyes, and it just dropped and like slid at my feet. It was terrifying.
Yeah,
I was young. I was probably, I don't know, I was probably in my teens. But shit my pants.
Fuck that noise. I'd rather be at a distance with a rifle, that's for sure. We're gonna ask you, so Chad, what we're gonna do here before we let you go, we're gonna ask you 5 hunting related questions because we're very interested in this shit, and we know that you're the man when it comes to this stuff. We're gonna call this segment Head Hunting. And the number one question for you: what would be the easiest big game animal to go hunt?
Wild boar for sure.
Is it wild boars considered big game?
Yeah, that's considered a big game. Their eyesight is horrible. And usually when they're eating, they're so focused on what they're doing, they're not really paying attention. So if you can get them in any type of grass that's like, up to their mid cavity, it's not like a deer where they can pick their head up and look around. They have no neck. So it's just like straight ahead or down. And
they're big dumb animals.
As long as the wind is right, their nose is unbelievable. They'll smell you from 14 miles away. But you could, as long as the wind's in your face, you could walk right up on them, get pretty damn close.
Do you guys remember that video of John Jones hunting boar from a helicopter with a fully automatic rifle just hanging out the window? What do you think about that kind of hunt? Is that bullshit?
That's actually one of our Fins and Feathers trips.
Is it? Is it awesome? Was that on one of your trips?
Yeah. It wasn't. That one wasn't. But we do it every year. But we don't call that hunting. That's eradicating because it's
that's taking care of the population, right?
You're not hunting them at all. In fact, Faber came with me on one of those, and he went up the first time. He didn't shoot any, but he was just watching. And they landed, and I was like, "How was it, dude?" And he goes, "Bro, they killed a whole family of pigs." And he was just like just white face,
sad.
Yeah.
Damn.
You had to go meditate for a while.
No, the population out there is insane, man.
All right, number 2, Mike.
What is the largest fish that you've ever caught?
I'd say probably a 60 to 70 pound bluefin tuna.
Nice.
It's a big ass fish. That's pretty big to me, huh?
We had a guy catch a 240 pound one on one of our Fins and Feathers trips this year. Dude, it was insane. They gaffed that thing and pulled it over, and it was just
250. Is that what you said?
240.
What
my God.
Fuck? That's 40 pounds bigger than me. That's
how long can that feed you? That 240 pounds.
Oh, man, I mean, one person probably a couple of years. But I would imagine the fish would get freezer burnt before you'd be able to eat it all. That's huge.
So my grandfather just passed away about a month ago. This man was a legend, 97 and a half years old, just passed away. World War II veteran, Veterans Day. In his house in Florida, he had a marlin on his wall that he caught. He caught it like 40 years ago on some fishing trip and had it taxidermied, and it was on the wall.
Is it just a giant? Those things get so big.
Yeah, it was fucking massive. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, he pulled that shit in. Number 3, do you prefer to hunt with a bow or a rifle?
Yeah, man. I do more bow hunting than I do rifle hunting. But it's a love-hate, man. I tell people this all the time, like, archery hunting is tough. I mean, it's so hard. Like, everything has to be right. Wind has to be right. You can't be making any sounds. You got to be able to get inside, 50 yards, 40 yards, 30 yards. And you have to make an exact perfect shot every time. And it's, when it all comes together and it works, it's the greatest thing ever. But there's been a lot of times where I miss or get inside 40 yards. I'm getting ready to pull back or something happens, wind swirls, and the animal takes off, giant animals too. And it's like, so it's pretty frustrating, but I would say probably archery.
Can you hunt with a bow year round?
So
there's seasons for that too.
There's seasons for everything except for wild pigs. Here in California, they're year round. Predators like coyotes are year round. But like there's a deer season and there's a specific archery season. But you can hunt, and that usually starts first. and then it goes into rifle, but you can hunt archery the whole time through. So you just can't rifle hunt during the archery season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, obviously you can tell we don't know shit about hunting.
It's all good.
Number 4, here we go.
What do you do with the animal after you hunt it?
Well, you gut it, you skin it, you cool the meat off as quick as you can. Typically, you'll hang it and let it age for a week, depending, sometimes longer, and then you butcher it all up and package it, and it just looks like beef steaks in your freezer, and then we eat it.
Do you do anything with like the fur and like do you like mount heads on your walls at home, stuff like that?
Yeah, if it's like a super memorable hunt or something that I'm just like super excited about, like to remember, I'll mount the heads. I do have heads mounted. Sometimes if the hide, like I went to New Zealand and killed like a really cool looking fallow deer that had like really cool hide, and I had it tanned. They make cool rugs and stuff, but yeah, most of that stuff's just more for the look. I'm more excited about the meat that it provides. I live off of that. I'd say probably 85% of the meat that we eat in my household is animals that me and my wife have killed. So, I think that's the thing we're most excited about. But don't get me wrong, I got horn porn. I wish you guys could see this, but
Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Damn.
Yeah, I got some animals in here, but
Holy smokes. So how far out have you been? Like if you catch something and you're out, I don't know how far out you go. You go a mile out, you got to carry that thing back. I mean, how far out do you go?
There's been times where you're 12, 14, 15 miles in.
Holy shit. You got to carry that back.
Elk. Yeah, killing elk. Luckily, I've always had a buddy or two with me, but still it'll take multiple trips. So that's the shittiest part about it. You got to hike however far the distance is back to the truck, unload that, go all the way back, get that last bit, and hike it all the way back. So, man, it can be pretty grueling at times. But yeah, I have buddies that will go in solo and do that shit. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing an elk 14, 15 miles. Dude, that's like sometimes. I mean, if that's the case, you don't get back till sun's coming up usually in the morning. But
I'm sure there's a chance other animals are trying to get that meat too. Like you leave, you come back, maybe it's eaten, or they're trying to get it from you as you're carrying it. So.
Yeah, 100%. In Alaska, that happens all the time with grizzlies. Like you kill a moose. I've had buddies kill a moose, and they go back to get the horses to get it out. And when they show up, there's already a grizzly that's claimed it, and that's like the worst thing you can do. Like if the grizzly's already claimed it, like they'll basically attack to get you away from it, or at least bluff charge you. Which will make you shit your pants. Yeah, I'm not about the grizzlies, man.
No way.
I had a buddy kill a moose, and when they went back to get it, it was all like the bear had already pissed on it to mark it, and like tore a bunch of the meat up. Yeah, they got a little bit of meat off of it, but it was pretty crappy.
Before I ask you the last question, are you familiar with a guy on social media named the Liver King?
I'm not. No.
All right, look this guy up on Instagram. His name's the Liver King. This dude is known for eating like. He like cuts the bone in half and spoons the marrow out of the bone, and he eats like raw liver and testicle.
Isn't the liver the most nutritional part?
And I eat the liver. I eat the livers too.
What about the marrow? You do that? Yeah,
I do the marrow, but I don't do any of that shit raw. I'm not a raw guy. I put that marrow. I put like garlic and some salt. And then you cook it, and then you do like you could do like a cracker, like a baguette that's toasted, and you do like some type of jam, so you get the sweet and the savory, and it's actually really good. But yeah, I'm not. There's no way I'd cut it open and start scooping that shit out.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. And last but not least, who's the better hunter, you or Rogan?
Dude, I don't know. I know I've been hunting longer, but holy shit, I've been watching Joe and seeing all the stuff that he's been killing lately, man. I'd have to say Joe. That guy's on a roll. I've seen some of the actual footage of him connecting on big ass elk too. Longer shots and just pinwheeling them. So
holy shit, Joe Rogan's a better hunter than Chad Mendes, huh?
I still thought I hear it.
I still remember before Joe even started hunting. It was one of the UFC events in Louisiana, and I had to go out there for some appearance stuff, and then you know, after the fights, everybody goes out, and I happened to roll into a bar that Joe was in, so we were just shooting the shit, drinking beer. And you know, I'm hammered, and I think he was probably drunk too, but we're just sitting there for like 2 hours, and I'm showing him animals that I've killed and like talking about hunting. And he's like, dude, I really think I want to get into this. This sounds awesome. Like being able to have like wild game in your freezer all the time. Like this sounds cool. And that was before he'd ever done it. And now look at him. He's on a roll, man. That's pretty freaking awesome. I love seeing it.
He seems like a guy that goes all in on everything. I mean, when he picks something up, he goes all the way.
Yeah, no, he's awesome, man.
Yeah, good for him.
All right, well, Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show. We cannot wait to see you in the BKFC Squared Circle, making your debut. Hopefully it's everything that we look forward to. We'll give you a chance to say a few last words, and then we'll let you get up out of here.
Yeah, dude, thank you guys so much for letting me talk all my businesses and rep all that stuff. It means a lot. So if anyone wants to check me out on social, it's at Chad Mendes. Instagram is my baby. I usually spend most of the time there, but I do have a Facebook and a YouTube channel, which I do film all of my hunts. I usually self-film them all, do most of the editing myself. And if you guys want to see my adventures and follow along on me, you can. So thank you guys very much, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Right. Thank you for coming on, Chad.
Have a good one.